Welcome back. This is Meet the Press. The three key independents say they will decide the next government irrespective of the natural political leanings of their own constituents.
Amongst Bob Katter, Tony Windsor and I, there is 68 years of public life. We are now at a point in our public life where if we have to make a decision and lose, we're willing to do that.
Well, we're joined now from Tamworth by independent Tony Windsor. Good to have you on the program, Tony. Now, you've been back in your own constituency. Doubtless there's a fair welter of advice, information from your own constituents. What are you hearing them tell you to do?
Well, a range of things, Hugh. But I think the main message that I'm getting is, we'll back your judgment, and I appreciate that. I know there's people out there, and there's a bit of an orchestrated campaign from both sides of the political spectrum to try and turn the heat up. That sort of stuff is counterproductive, and I say to country people generally, irrespective of where they live, there's an opportunity here over a 3-year period to actually do some good things for country Australians, and if people return to their partisanship ways in terms of one dog or the other, we are in a different environment. I think people have got to recognise there's a third option in this, and if we can't find something, well, in my view anyway, that we can't find something that is stable and will go forward and create good governance for the nation, the third option is let the people decide.
Well, before we get to that option, Tony Windsor, you talked about turning the heat up. We hear you got a call from Liberal backbencher Albie Schultz during the week, and that advice included a few threats.
Well, I haven't named Albie, but obviously someone else has. Albie, as we all know, and he's a mate of mine, and his wife Gloria is a good friend of ours too. He gets a bit excited about life. I think we all recognise that. You've probably seen it yourself, Glenn. But yes, I don't appreciate some of the calls that have been coming through to my staff and occasionally to me from various political persuasions. I think this is a time for cool heads. A lot of people mightn't like the situation we're in, and I didn't put myself in this position, but seeing the Australian people have, I think we've got to try and make reasoned decisions based on information before us and hopefully come to some conclusion. My vote may not make any difference to the outcome here at all. It may, and I think it's appropriate that while we're in this period of a vacuum, while the votes are being counted, etc., that we do access information, and so that if we are called upon to make a decision, we're basing it on some sort of process.
There was a perception last week that Tony Abbott alienated the independents by initially refusing to submit his costings and reveal them to you. Is that right? Is that perception right?
Well, I don't think it was a good first step, but it's been corrected. And those costings will be available. So I'm pleased about that. I think both leaders, in our discussions with them, and I know the papers and different people in the press are creating their own diversions, but both leaders have been very good so far, and I think they recognise that this is a situation that we need to stay calm about and try and reconcile. I think there's some incredibly exciting things that could happen in this parliament.
Can I just ask you whether you've put any timetable on yourselves to make a decision? And secondly, you mentioned the possibility of another election. How high do you think that chance is? And do you think there are some advantages in going that route?
Well, I'd say there's probably a 10% chance, Michelle. I don't think it's likely because I think there's genuine intent on behalf of both the leaders to actually try and make something work. But if I sense that intent isn't there, or there's undermining going on, or people just want a temporary parliament so they can go back to the polls in 6 months' time, my vote may well opt for the people to make a decision.
And what about the timetable on yourselves making a decision?
Well, we're entering into a range of meetings this week. I would hope that by the end of the week, we should be able to make a decision. But that's just me saying that. There's no team here.
Could you go in different directions, the three of you? Is that a realistic possibility, do you think?
Oh, very much so. All we've agreed to do is access, will develop a document to ask for information. We will receive that information, and the three of us could make different interpretations of what that information actually means and whether there's stability going forward. All those sorts of things will come into play.
Tony, on the stability question that you just mentioned there, sorry to interrupt, you heard Wayne Swan earlier say that the 3-year fixed term was subject to conditions like by-elections, unexpected circumstance. Are you prepared to offer some flexibility about the fixed term?
Well, I think the process itself offers the flexibility. I think you can't get away from it. There are circumstances that you really couldn't control. But
what are those?
I can't get into all of those now. I'm not a constitutional expert either. But
no, but that's a political question, Tony. I mean, what happens if there is a deadlock in the Senate, for example, over absolutely key legislation? Let's say there's a double-dip recession and there's a new stimulus package.
Well, I can't get into all those.
But you're imposing the terms.
No,
you're imposing this condition.
I think what we want is genuine intent for a parliament term to be served. Obviously, there'd be circumstances where that may not have to happen, but I think that the genuine thing that we're trying to find out is, are these people serious about wanting to be in government, or are they just serious about wanting to be in temporary government for a matter of months?
OK, Tony Windsor, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on your birthday yesterday also. Good to have you on the programme. Thanks also to our panel, Glenn Milne and Michelle Grattan. A transcript and a replay of this programme will be up on our websites as always. See you next week.